After Trump's introduction of tariffs to Mexico and Canada and their expected response, the automotive industry and market are sure to be shaken to their core. The math is simple. The more American a vehicle is in terms of production, the less it will be impacted because of the new taxes, and vice versa. That's why you should keep tabs on this info when planning to purchase a new SUV, to keep costs as low as possible. That's why we're here, to lead you through the best and worst purchases of the future as we present you with the 4 SUVs to avoid and 4 to buy when tariffs strike. Let's first go through those that are best left avoided in the future. Number 4. Toyota RAV4. America's sweetheart SUV, the Toyota RAV4 is surely going to be struck with a proper sales debuff in the future, considering how much it relies on external production. Unfortunately, the Toyota RAV4 as of current is being assembled in Canada, with most resources coming from the land of maple syrup too. As a result of this, the pricing of the now competitively priced RAV4 is sure to rise in the future, making it a much more expensive vehicle than it should be. And while this could have been mitigated recently due to the RAV4 being redesigned later this year by shifting production to the US, the new model is already prepared to be made in Canada, making the tragedy even bigger. Shame really, as this new model was promised to be the best RAV4 there ever was. And with an increased price, we're just not sure that this will be the case. That said, it's not the worst in this regard, as out of all the vehicles, so not just SUVs made in the US, the RAV4 falls close to the middle of the pack, sitting at the 65th place out of 100 on the American-Made Index list, or AMI for short. Not terrible, but definitely not great. Number 3. Ford Bronco Sport. The Bronco, the symbol of Americana, next to the Mustang and the F-150. It's so disappointing seeing this vehicle sitting as one of the least American SUVs. Starting with the full-size model, which is thankfully still being assembled in the US, that being a plant in Michigan. This model still retains some semblance of the proud American character. However, most of its DNA can be traced to either Mexico or Canada, as it only occupies a lowly 73rd place out of 100. The smaller Bronco Sport is an even worse affront to the Blue Oval's lineup, as it is also assembled in Mexico, and while there is no rating of it, we'd expect it to be around the same place as its cousin, the Ford Escape, which sits at 72nd place and 76th place if you go for the hybrid. Number 2. Buick Enclave. What you're witnessing before your eyes is the death of many brands in the US, and one of them will definitely be Buick. Buick has had a string of bad luck in the past few decades, and recently it seemed like they were back on track with the Enclave and current lineup, offering cheap but still nice vehicles to the US buyers. Well, you can throw that cheap bit out the window, as the Buick Enclave, which was the company's largest model as of recently, will be torn apart completely by the fact that it'll have to cost more. As of now, it sits at an abysmal 86th place out of 100 on the AMI list, which is one of the worst spots that a budget vehicle could occupy with tariffs in place. That said, the Envista is still assembled in South Korea, so it will retain a relatively low price in the future, so don't worry about it. Number 1. Honda CR-V. Assembled in Canada, mostly made out of the US, the Honda CR-V is about to become the black sheep of the entire compact SUV segment, and Honda is about to lose its most valuable asset on the US market. Ranking at 87th place out of 100, the Honda CR-V might not be the worst on the list, but its issues will most certainly be the most impactful for the American buyer. The Honda CR-V, which was and still is one of the most popular vehicles on the market, courtesy of its low price and high quality and reliability, will now be met by a much larger price tag and higher costs than ever before. This is a shame really, because the US will lose one of the best vehicles on its market because of this. But all is not lost, as there still are quite a bit of manufacturers that will be selling well in the future. Number 4. Honda Pilot. Where the Honda CR-V failed, the Pilot excelled. This midsize SUV has always been a popular choice amongst SUV buyers, and for good reason. It's practical, very reliable, extremely efficient, and very well made. And now it will be even more popular because of the fact that it's a top-rated vehicle on the AMI list, ranking it at a very enviable 14th place out of 100, beating out practically all other models in its segment, save for a few that we'll mention later. Truth be told, the Honda Pilot, despite having Japanese heritage and Japanese philosophy of design and utility, is a perfect SUV for an average American family, as it offers a traditional V6 powertrain, good fuel economy for a non-hybrid, and ample room on the inside. And since it won't be hit hard by the tariffs, it is sure to become even more popular than before. Number 3. Toyota Highlander Grand Highlander. Even though the RAV4 isn't exactly a thoroughbred American, its two bigger siblings most certainly are. Both the Highlander and the Grand Highlander rank extremely high on the AMI list. Plus, they're also very highly thought of amongst owners and buyers, as both offer unprecedented levels of reliability and dependability. In addition to that, between the two, the Highlander currently sits at a higher place on the list, clocking in at the fantastic 11th place, with the Grand Highlander being 16th overall, allowing both of these SUVs to stand out quite proudly and stick out from the massive SUVs that are sourced from Mexico and Canada. That said, this rating is the most susceptible to change out of them all, because the Highlander will be redesigned soon, and some of its production might be sourced from either of the two other countries, which could translate to higher costs. That said, it shouldn't be any lower than the Grand Highlander, which is one of Toyota's most recent additions. Number 2. Lexus TX. Toyota really did invest heavily into the US market and their own factories, and it has a truly big presence here. The Lexus TX is the best example of their doing, as this luxurious midsize SUV retains the highest position on the AMI list of any luxurious SUV, clocking in at the 10th overall place. This vehicle, which shares its platform and DNA with the Grand Highlander, has already been regarded by many as one of the best vehicles for purchase in its segment, if you had the money, and will now only be the favorite choice to an even greater number of buyers because of its mostly intact pricing, especially compared to the German varietals that are vastly more expensive, yet considerably worse in terms of build quality. Honestly, in our opinion, the TX isn't just a good vehicle on this list, but the best overall midsize SUV you can buy. But it doesn't occupy the top spot. That honor goes to number 1, Honda Passport. There you go, another non-American brand offering one of the most American-made models on the market. The Honda Passport, like its pickup truck counterpart, the Honda Ridgeline, is almost completely made in the US, with almost 70% of its DNA being domestically made. That said, the new model has just been announced, and it might have some slight changes in this regard. However, because the Honda Pilot, which was recently redesigned too, occupies a very good 14th place as we established. As a result, we believe that these changes in production will be unnoticeable. As of now, the Passport occupies the penultimate place on the AMI list, second only to the Tesla Model Y, which is an EV, so it counts more as a house appliance than a car. Its extremely high placement makes it easily one of the best purchases for those of you that want a mid-size, rugged pickup truck. And while the TX might be the better vehicle of the two, the Passport is a better value, no doubt. Honestly, it's no wonder why both the Passport and the Pilot were so popular in the past, and they will surely become even better in the future.